Do you ever get stumped by a riding problem or a behavior or a training problem with your horse where it seems like you get so many different conflicting advice and there's so many different things that you could try that it just becomes overwhelming to take the first step and to figure out what to actually start doing to work through that problem? So I'm Callie from CRK Training Blog, and what I would like to do today is share 3 questions that you can ask yourself to begin to work through any kind of a problem that you're having with your horse. Now, last week we did a video and we talked about this big picture of riding and of horsemanship and how riding is such a unique sport and has some unique challenges because there's so much that goes into it. You know, there's the part of we have to develop our skills riding, we have to have a good mindset, have our own mental game in place, we've got to take care of the horse, and of course we have to be able to understand and relate to the horse by understanding their behavior and being able to communicate with them, which is basically training. So what I'd like to start with today is take an example and show you how we can use kind of this big picture to understand all the different things that can sometimes contribute to or cause a riding or a training problem. And then I'm going to share those 3 questions that you can ask yourself to be able to pinpoint what might be contributing to the specific problem that you're having. So the example that I'd like to use is one that I actually have gotten several questions on recently. And the questions are basically, my horse rushes at the canter. He won't slow down. He's got a really fast, unbalanced canter. What do I do? How do I start working through this? And I began by just listing out 6 different things that could potentially be either the cause of the problem or could be part of it. Because sometimes there's not just one thing that's causing the problem. Sometimes there's multiple things that we have to improve and we have to work on in order to find a solution. So the first one is lack of balance. So if a horse simply isn't balanced enough to have a nice canter, then that can be causing the problem. So that would be a training issue. Now, sometimes it might just be that the horse doesn't understand. So if the horse doesn't understand what a half halt means, if he doesn't understand the cue to slow down, then that's also going to be a training problem. Could also be that the rider is simply not giving the cue, so that they think they're trying to ask the horse to slow down, but in reality, maybe they're tensing up and curling forward and pulling on the rein while still squeezing with their leg in order to try to hold on. So the horse really isn't getting a clear cue to slow down. So this would be probably a rider skills problem. We could also have a rider that is bracing. So a lot of times if we have a horse that's going too fast, especially if he's more of a anxious, hot type horse, he's going too fast and the rider is maybe bracing against the stirrups, that can lead into the rider's seat hitting the horse's back, something that's sometimes called a driving seat, or it could just be an unbalanced rider that's hitting the horse's back and is basically escalating because it's starting to spook the horse or frighten the horse a little bit. So again, it becomes difficult to slow down, and that again would be a rider issue. Or the horse might be sore. Maybe he's sore somewhere in his hind end that he just isn't comfortable slowing down, which is going to require a little bit more of a transfer of weight to his hind end to be able to carry himself in a more balanced way at the canter. And that is going to be a kind of a horse care, a physical problem. And then we also have the possible issue of if the saddle doesn't fit, So if the saddle makes it very uncomfortable for the horse to round himself, it's going to be difficult for the horse to lift his back and have, again, that more balanced, slow canter. So this is another physical horse care problem that can contribute to the issue of the horse rushing at the canter. So hopefully this helps you understand why many times when we have a riding or a training problem, sometimes it's just one thing that we need to work out and that problem will go away, but often there can be multiple things that are kind of contributing to that issue. And this is also one of the reasons that if you go out and you ask 3 or 4 different people about the problem you're having, you might get a different recommendation from each one, because each person might be thinking about a different factor that they've experienced could be contributing to or causing this problem. So what I'd like to do next is give you those 3 questions to ask yourself so that you can start to pinpoint for yourself what the problem is and how to get the solution. The first question to ask yourself: is my horse able to do what I'm asking him to do? So with the example we've been working on of the horse rushing at the canter, if you have an off-the-track thoroughbred and you want him to do a very slow, collected canter, the answer is probably no. He's not at a point where he can physically hold a very balanced, collected canter for an extended period of time. You're going to have to work on physically teaching him the balance and helping him physically learn how to not just reorganize the way that he carries his body, but also develop the strength that's going to be required for holding that collected canter. The second question is, does he understand what I'm asking? And this can be a tough one, because many times we tend to say, yes, of course he understands it. He's done it before. I've taught it to him. He knows what I'm asking for. But really question yourself. Are you sure he understands? Have you done it in this environment? And have you been able to ask for it the same way several times and had him consistently respond correctly? So many times I think we have the horse do something once, or he can do it at home, so of course he understands what I'm asking for here, but that's not necessarily the case. So second question is, are you sure that he understands what you're asking for? And of course, if he doesn't, the solution there is then to go back and make sure that you retrain that specific cue so that he knows what's expected. The third question to ask yourself: am I getting in the way or sending confusing signals to my horse? So this is one of those times that if you just take a step back, you do kind of a body scan, think about, am I holding tension somewhere? Am I doing something in my position that I know is not going to be helpful to my balance or to my horse's movement? Or am I maybe just confusing him? Like I'm asking him to slow down because I'm pulling on the reins, but actually I'm gripping like crazy with my lower leg because I feel like I'm going to go flying off. So make sure that you are really kind of honest and you think about, am I sending some confusing signals to my horse? So if you go through these questions in that order, then you'll be able to start to break down what could be actually causing the problem and start working through it. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you have any comments or questions, go to crktrainingblog.com. That's where the best conversation happens. And I also post new videos for you there every Friday. So make sure to go there and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.